Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 229, our 2026 wide receiver and tight end preview, and it's my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How you doing today, Bernie?
You know what? I'm doing all right, man. I'm living my best life. Mediocre with a slight upside.
Oh, it's good to have optimism and hope. All right, let's get this going. All right, guys, in this show, we will be catching up on some player news. We'll also break down the wide receiver and tight end positions to see who we have ranked where, including our surprises of the top five, our new kids on the block, our bounce back candidates, ambiguously ranked duos. Well, we've got a ton of old faces and new places this week, and we'll see who we just can't quit in this week's Wingback Mountain. But before we do any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, Bernie, I want to ask you a question. How is it that you get your wide receiver or tight end rankings together? Do you have a formula, or is it just gut feeling? What do you got here going on here?
No, I use a very complicated system of levers and pulleys, sprockets, lots of that stuff going on. Basically, it is printouts of teams' depth charts, and then doing a little number crunching into an Excel spreadsheet, and then basically trying to figure out the wide receiver is by far the hardest one.
I agree.
Rank.
I agree.
By far the hardest one to rank. So really, I put them in a depth chart. I put them in a ranking system within the division, and then I start combining the divisions. Top two wide receivers from each team. Start combining the divisions, and then build it. And so basically, I only do like 96 or so that are actually viable, and then everything after that, it's kind of just like nobody really like wide receiver 112
Right.
opposed to wide receiver 120. Like I can't tell you who's gonna hit and who's gonna miss at that point. It's all situational at that point. So
I will say I went down to only 80 this time to try and get rid of that excess
80.
stuff. I went short.
Yeah.
And probably even 15 of those are guys that are like just the end of a people that play.
Yeah, exactly. Usually, though, it is the top two wide receivers from each team within each division, combining divisions, and then kind of reworking it from there.
Well, I'll tell you this. I came up with a new formula.
Oh, gosh.
All day yesterday.
Wait. Don't tell me. Is it a strength of schedule based on the cornerback that either stays with the receiver or zone coverage on the defensive end?
I would have, but I didn't have time, Bernie. I didn't have time. This is what I did. I'm going to say it real quick. It's going to sound confusing. I first did, I came up with a team's passing game score. This is regardless of the receiver you're ranking, right?
Okay.
So this combines the quality of your quarterback, and they get points in their categories. So you have like an elite, very good, good, average, poor, however you want to rank them, 5 groups, and they get points depending on what group they're in. Then it's how bad your team's scoring defense is. So since Dallas gave up the most points last year to their opponents, so again, groups of 5, groups that way from the defense that give up the most, because if you're giving up defensive points, you're going to have to score offensive points to keep up. Next, I have a differential whether it's easier to pass or run on your opponent. So the strength of schedule, strength of schedule. For example, Cincinnati has the 8th easiest schedule for receivers and the 28th easiest for running backs, which means if they have a choice, they're going to take the path of least resistance. And it's easier to pass on their opponents than run. And then I knock off those extremes with win-loss record, strength of schedule. If a team's if you have a really easy strength of schedule, you're going to lean on the run more than you would pass just because you're going to win easier. And also, if you're on the other end, you're playing against tougher teams, and you're going to lose by by a ton here, you're probably a pretty bad team. So I knocked off a couple points for the extremes. And then from there, that's the team's passing game score. Now we get to the individual receivers, and I put them in values of just top, middle, and bottom here. The top is any receiver projected at over 130 targets. The middle are receivers between 95 and 130. And then anyone under 95 is the bottom tier here. And then I subtract what I ranked you at. For example, so Puka Nacua, I had it ranked number 1. Spoiler alert, he's only going to lose 1 point off all those numbers, not to bring him down a little bit. And then other guys will be more so. So it kind of moves some guys around. But actually, I kind of like the list except for some surprises. But I'm not going to use it for my draft day rankings. But I'm going to keep an eye on it and see how it performs during the year, because it's as a little mixed in with some bias, but a lot of numbers that have nothing to do with how I think about the player.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. That's the time we have for today's show.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No. That's good. That makes sense. Honestly, as confusing as it might sound to everybody else that hasn't been doing research for the past 24 hours, that makes sense.
I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to give you one example again real quick here. So Cincinnati has an elite quarterback. Their defense was one of the worst. And their differential was 20 in terms of ease of passing to ease of running. So that gives them 70 points right there. I took off 5 points. They've got a super easy schedule in terms of wins and losses. So their passing game by itself, without putting in Jamar Chase, is 65. They have the best passing game score. And then we put in the actual receivers to put in with that passing game to put them up there. So that's just a little thought there. I'm curious. I'm really trying to figure this stuff out here, and it's just for posterity to see how we actually work this out.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, guys. Now it's some time. We got a short list of news, but some important news. Let's get right into it in this week's player news. I just muted myself if you couldn't hear me. All right, now we're back here. So we're starting off with Nick Chubb. We're going to pour one out for the old running back here. He announced his retirement today. We're going to go through these one by one since we have a short list here, Bernie. I know you're a big fan of Nick Chubb. What do you have to say on his departing words, ending his NFL career?
It was a good run. He's a really, really good human being. And it's bittersweet. I'm glad that he got out, when he wanted to get out, and not because of, I guess, a football ending injury, which he honestly had like 2 of, right?
Yeah.
And he came back and he was, decent, but he just wasn't the same Nick Chubb. It's funny because since I live in Georgia, when Todd Gurley was on Georgia, Nick Chubb was there, and it was like Gurley was the big hype, and then Gurley kind of faded away as well. I mean, he was great while he was here, definitely helped fantasy teams, and then kind of just faded and retired. And Nick Chubb, kind of followed suit. So I wonder if those guys obviously still talk. They're Georgia comrades. So maybe Gurley was like, "Hey, man, if you're not having any fun and you don't think you can excel like you used to, just hang it up and let's make some money doing something different." So good for him, man.
I agree. I agree with all those sentiments. Yeah, Nick Chubb was easy to root for, but had a lot of season-ending injuries that kind of curtailed it at his peak there when he was really getting going. That's when he had that biggest injury about four or 5 years ago, give or take, for the Browns. I'm not sure exactly when it was, about that time. On a little bit of better news, we got George Kittle, San Francisco tight end, who suffered a torn Achilles. I think it was in the playoffs last year. If not, it was definitely late in the year. He was activated off the PUP today.
Activated.
We'll get into it more with the tight ends, but this is great news. Going to muddle up a little bit, good or bad, depending on how you look at it, on our tight end rankings, because by name and pedigree, he is one of the top tight ends. The only issue with him is age and coming off of an injury. Well, the fact that he's not on the PUP list doesn't mean he's going to play. He might be that Chris Godwin style where he was on the PUP list but missed the first couple weeks. But we'll have to keep an eye on that with the news. But it means he's not guaranteed to miss time, and that is the best news of the day for our tight end position.
Yeah, for sure. George Kittle being back on that roster is good. Jake Tongus, I believe, is the tight end too there. So hopefully that didn't spoil anybody's draft board if they were drafting early. I know we draft a little later, but that's good. Stribling, Samuel, Evans, that's the wide receiving core. Kittle is not really known as a blocking tight end, but he's still a good blocking tight end. So it's really going to help the whole team in general. Stribling, he's a rising star that we will talk about later. But that might hamper him a little bit if Kittle's getting some of those passes his way.
I agree. Good to have George Kittle back. Now, unfortunately, late in the earlier today on Sunday, or today when we're recording, we had a bad news here. It's still a little vague on the severity, but it's not sounding good with initial reports. Ashton Jeanty, a top 10 running back ranked wise in draft boards, suffered a knee injury in practice on Sunday, needed to be helped off of the field, could not put weight on that right leg. And apparently from reports, the practice kind of stopped. It got quiet. The boom boxes got turned off, and the players took a knee while he was exiting the field. Not really good signs in terms of body language, but again, we don't know. We don't know more than that right now. It's not good news. Hopefully, we'll hope for the best here, but this is a big time injury in terms of just the quality of player, the outlook of his season that people were really excited about here, and at the very least, it makes this a muddled mess. And honestly, most likely, probably a devastating injury for his season. What do you have on this sophomore running back out of Las Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered the news aspect of it. Mike Washington Jr., Dylan, I'm sorry. Dylan, I don't know how to say his last name. Lobby?
Oh,
Lobby?
Laub, I guess. I don't know.
Laub. Yeah. Those are the next two guys up. I don't know if they're bringing somebody in, if there's a wily veteran out there in free agency or anything. I didn't really hear any crazy news on that. But let's talk about this. We were talking that Kirk Cousins was going to be the starter day one, just to see if the O line was going to help out. Ashton Genty's a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
If you've got this running back, I mean, yeah, you can fire in the gaps to help stop this running back, but if you got edge rushers coming at your quarterback, having that running back.
Oh, sorry for the delay there. Had a little skip there. Bernie, what were you saying there about Genty picking up the rush, another big guy to help chip on the blocks?
Yeah, exactly. So if we're waiting to see what this Raiders O line looks like, and Genty's a big part of that blocking scheme, or also a distraction for edge rushers, then without him, Kirk Cousins might be in a little longer if that line can't hold up before Mendoza comes in. But on the flip side, as a coach, I'm thinking, okay, listen, we need all the superstars out there now. We need all of the high upside guys out there now. Let's see how quickly we can get Mendoza in to try to alleviate some of this Ashton Genty if he misses any sort of time at the beginning of the year. Thoughts?
So I'm not blaming anybody in their decision making process. I'm just making a point here.
Yeah.
He did not play in their preseason game. I don't know if they played this weekend. I don't know if it was Saturday or Friday, and then they had practice on Sunday. So they probably played on Friday. I could look it up, but I'm not. They played this week. He didn't play. The idea is to keep these guys out of these games, to keep them from getting injured. You never know what's going to happen when. I'm not saying he deserved to get hurt because I held him out. I'm not saying that at all, or anything close to that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can't protect these guys. Like, it's football. Get them ready for the season the best they can, and just know that there's always a chance that something like this can happen, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. So we hopefully he comes back soon. If not, we make our adjustments as fans. They make their adjustments as a team, and then we move forward.
All right, guys, let's get into some of our categories today. We're going to start off with our surprises of the top 5.
Not malfunction, Stephanie. Number 5 is alive.
Wingman Fantasy Football. Surprise of the top 5.
Here's Johnny.
All right, Bernie, I'm going to start off here. I don't know how much this is a surprise to you or not. I just love this guy. If I could be he's my new Wingback Mountain guy, but I'm going to save him here because I can't always get him because you seem to take him more often than I get a chance to. A.J. Brown is my surprise of the top 5. I have him ranked number 4 right now. His team has the 27th easiest strength of schedule, which is not easy, 28th for the position, and 7 home games. Those things are not good for the equation here. However, he is a superstar running back on a team that throws a ton. Drake May had over 4,300 passing yards last year as a sophomore with relatively no-name receivers. Stephon Diggs had over 1,000 yards as a skeleton of himself, shell of himself. A.J. Brown can at least duplicate what Stephon Diggs did last year and probably add double the touchdowns. I have A.J. Brown as my surprise, the top 5, ranked number 4.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I got AJ a little lower. I have him at number 6 right now. I think that he's going to be really comfortable playing with the best QB that he's played with in I guess a long time.
Since
As
Ryan
far as
Tannehill.
yeah, as far as passing quarterbacks
Right.
go. So coming off a down year with knee questions attached to it is kind of why I have him out of the top 5. But I wouldn't say anything would be crazy different about that. So yeah, I like it. I'm not going to argue with it. But for me, the pick, the surprise of the top 5, it might not really be a surprise for everybody, but it's JSN. Um, and it's he led the NFL in receiving yards. He finished wide receiver 2 with yardage production. And he's not a surprise because he's not a surprise because he's bad. He's a surprise because he still he still thinks of himself as the 3rd guy in that Ohio State room. I think the lack of the running game that we don't know what's going to happen
Right.
is making this offense not as dangerous as what we expect. So I like JSN, and I would draft him in the top 5, but I'm not 100% that he's going to be a top 5 finish. So I currently have him as a wide receiver 2, though.
2. I have him at 5. I too
Mhm.
agree with you. Well, you know how bad of a miss it was for last year. I forget what I had him ranked, but it was like 28th or something ridiculous, and he finished 2. So I had him way down. So I'm giving him the respect on that. But there's a lot of red flags in my opinion based on
Yeah.
just because last year he was so efficient, and like Sam Darnold barely threw for any yards, but just all of them went to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and usually late in games on these game-winning drives.
Yeah.
So I could see 1 or 2 of those not coming his way, really slowing down the touchdowns. But it's hard to say. He was so awesome last year.
Exactly.
I will say in my little equation, with him ranked 5 in my board, that he dropped down to 10 in the computer ranking here. That as I did with all those numbers there, so he's still a top 10 guy. But it just kind of show where some guys might have fallen down based on the types of running to receiving defense they're playing and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I got a tight end here going in the bounce and the surprise of the top 5.
Oh, what do you got?
Tight ends are crazy. They are hard to rank. I'm not gonna lie. I got Dallas Goedert ranked number 4 of the top 5s. Last year, I think he was number 3. He has the the ease of schedule for strength of schedule in terms of wins and losses. The Eagles have the 10th best, and in terms of the positional strength of schedule, the Philadelphia Eagles have the easiest schedule in terms of the tight end position, and they have 9 home games, which seems like a juicy little bonus for the big man. So I think I have Dallas Goedert ranked as number 4 on my tight end list this year.
Yeah. I guess we're all learning what to do with tight ends this year because I got him all the way down at number 14.
Okay.
11 touchdowns in 2025 after 8 total across the prior 3 seasons. Jalen Hurts will throw to his tight end near the goal line, and that's worth 6 a pop here in our league here. But it was an outlier built on a goal line usage that rarely repeats, in my opinion. He failed to clear 10 yards per catch for the first time in his career. Yeah, he's 31 now. He's on a 1-year deal. And the rookie, Eli Stowers, is designated to be the heir to Sean Mannion's new offense. So Dallas Goedert has dropped down for me, for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So we
But
usually don't break down the rankings straight down here, but because tight ends are so hard and a lot of people have jumbled here, I'm going to ask you for your top 5. I'll give you mine first while you get that together.
Yeah.
I got Trey McBride at number 1, Brock Bowers number 2. That's the easy stuff. Now here's the hard part from 3 to 7, give or take. I got Tyler Warren at number 3, Goddard at 4, and Kyle Pitts. I can't believe I have Kyle Stinky Pitts that high, but number 5 for the Atlanta Falcons tight end. Anything? I know you have Goddard way down. How about those other 4 guys? Are they up there in your top 5, or am I totally off base?
No. You're not. I've got the 1 and 2 flipped. Brock Bowers 1, Trey McBride 2, and then at 3 I've got Colston Loveland, and at 4 I've got Tyler Warren, and at 5 is my surprise. 5 I have Tucker Kraft. Top 5 on nearly every board that I've looked at. 10 months off of a torn ACL, practicing now, targeting week 1 appearance. So before the knee, though, he was the highest scoring tight end in football. 6 scores in 8 games, 15.3 yards a catch. The asterisk, Kraft himself says that Green Bay will manage his rep range until midseason. So we're drafting a top 5 tight end with a pitch count, and that's buying a front row seat and finishing out the band's only playing the encore. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But that's my surprise at the top
No, that
5.
was good.
Tucker
That was a
Kraft.
good list there. Way to tie that together. Very impressed with your skills there, Bernie. Well done.
I mean, this is what our third year doing this.
Well, don't let them know, but yes. All right, guys, it is now time to get into our next segment here. We're going to get into our new kids on the block.
This year's New Kids on the Block.
All right. I've got a surprise one I'm going to mention here first. Dejon Stribling for San Francisco. With all of his receivers hurt or banged up and the tight ends through the preseason, he's really stepped up as a #1 target. But we had Mike Evans return to practice today. The activation of George Kittle. This one's going to be a little bit of an interesting pick here based on the vibes on who you think is going to be in that starting lineup here. Stribling really has been a preseason and training camp darling, but he's been getting extra reps due to the veterans getting some time off. Do you have any thoughts on Stribling? Who else do you want to add for a new kid here?
No, I think you nailed it with Stribling. I agree with all of that. I've got a little off of the rails kind of thing here for you. So where we new kids on the block here. Carnell Tate. I have him as wide receiver 33 for Tennessee, 4th overall pick, and Tennessee handed Wan'Dale Robinson $70 million to play next to him. They didn't draft a receiver; they rebuilt a passing game around one receiver. So rookie receivers on ascending offenses are the classic second half riser. Cam Ward's year 2 leap is the variable in this, though.
I agree. Yeah, you're drafting him to wait and see and hope that they get some chemistry building, and he might be a very helpful player in the second half of the year. What number do you have him again, real quick? Now that I found him on my list,
33.
33. You have him pretty high. I got 41. Do you have him behind or ahead? Wait, man, you had him higher. Do you have him behind or ahead? Someone like Alec Pierce or DK Metcalf?
Ooh, Alec Pierce or DK Metcalf. Let's see here. If I can find them real fast. I apologize, audience. I wasn't able to print my stuff, so I am scrolling on the computer. Alec Pierce, I have at 46.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. DK Metcalf, I have DK pretty high up probably. Maybe I don't have DK that high up. I don't know where DK is.
That's fine. Well, that means obviously you have Carnell Tubb pretty high. I'm going to give you another name just to ask you about. I'm curious how high he goes. Do you have him ahead of the Luther Burden, for example? I doubt it, but maybe. I don't know.
No, Luther Burden. I don't know. Let's see here. Give me a second. Talk about something.
Well, I got Burden at 32, for example. That's why I was kind of trying. That's where you have Tate. So I was just curious where you have these guys in relation to that range. The wide receiver, top end wide receiver threes, or your playable flexes.
Yeah. No, I don't. Luther Burden, I have at 25.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we have the same differential in terms of how much you have Burden ahead of Tate, but you have both those guys higher than I do.
Yeah.
All right. Another rookie out here. This one kind of stinks. It's so exciting coming out of the draft. Jordan Tyson out of New Orleans here. Super hype heavy here. Some people say he was the best wide receiver taken in this draft, despite not being, I'm not sure which order he was, but not being the top one drafted, but it might have been the top one in projection here. But he's been dealing with hamstring injuries on both legs back and forth since college. His latest one is going to keep him out about 6 to 8 weeks or so. So his projections here are really taking a dive, but he was such a promising rookie out of the draft here. I'm going to stay with another rookie here since there's not a lot to talk about since he's probably hurt. Makai Lemon, also banged up a little bit, but slowly working his way back. And he was a superstar projected draft candidate here as well. Do you have anything to add? He plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe taking up the slack here for a A.J. Brown who had left the team. So what do you have on these first round rookie selections from New Orleans and Philadelphia?
You said Jordan Tyson and Makai Lemon, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So Jordan Tyson, I have him pretty low. I have him at a wide receiver 50, but he's the actionable one here. I think. Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna get too far into that. That's actually something I really want to do here. I agree with everything you said on Jordan Tyson. Makai Lemon, though, Devontae Smith and the run game come first. The rookie slot receiver rarely commands volume before November, so that gap is the discount, I think, for Makai Lemon at 39. But he walks into a 130 plus vacated AJ Brown targets, so we're looking at that as well. Jordan Tyson, listen, guys, hanging tough is one thing. Hanging on the IR is the actual strategy here. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, I was going to mention that our strategy and tips and tricks on our next show, but very good point. I need to remember that. All right, do you have any other rookies you want to mention? I got one more.
No, that's all I have for New Kids on the Block.
All right, I got Jacoby Lane out of Baltimore. He's had a pretty good preseason. Scored a training camp. Scored a touchdown in their last preseason game. It's hard to say how many targets they have. We have Zay Flowers, but unfortunately, Rashad Bateman's having some issues. He's being charged with some sort of domestic violence type issue here. Again, these are early reports here. So he's already similar to Stribling, but in the other way, where he was having good rapport, but without the full opportunity. Now he's being catapulted potentially into that number 2 receiver for Baltimore in a bounce back year for the Ravens. Jacoby Lane might be one of those sneaky players you put in the back couple rounds of your draft day who might show up just like you were mentioning with Tyson or any other rookie in the or Cardinal Tate rather in the second half of the year.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with all of that. I have him at 62. And he's the biggest ADP riser at this position. I think he's up 19 spots in a week amongst other people's draft boards. Or rankings, I should say. But after a strong camp, like you said, preseason debut, the wide receiver 2 job is right there for him. But you got to remember that it's Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, they're still on paper in front of him. And Baltimore doesn't, they barely throw, but that's the old Baltimore. We don't really know what the new Baltimore is going to look like.
Right. All right, going on to our next category here, guys. We've got our bounce back candidates.
Oh, wait.
It's too late.
Nope, it's okay.
You can't bounce the bounce if you can't even pronounce the bounce. Repeat after Tigger.
Wingman Fantasy Football Bounce Back Candidates.
But the most wonderful thing about Tigger is I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
Before we get to bounce back candidates, I'm sorry. What did you have there, Bernie? I apologize. I already pushed the button.
No, you're good. You're good. I didn't know if we were doing tight ends or not.
Yeah, we are. I didn't have any, so I forgot. But go ahead. Tight end rookies, New Kids on the Block. Yep, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I'll give you one. I've got Kenyon Sadiq, tight end 22 for me, 16th overall, the only tight end taken in round 1. He ran a 4.39 at 241 pounds, fastest ever by a tight end in the combine. He had a hernia surgery as a setback in early August. Still not back on team drills yet, but the Jets say week 1 is the goal. Fastest tight end in combine history, man. Let's go. That's all I got.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right. Now we're in our bounce back candidates. I'm not going to play the drop again here. I'm going to start off with the most obvious. There's actually a lot of easy selections here in a way, but I'm just going to stay with the easiest one here. I'm going to be lazy. Wide receiver bounce back this year is Justin Jefferson. Last year he finished as the 27th wide receiver and 47th in points per game. But this year they have the 22nd easiest schedule in terms of team, but the 6th easiest schedule against wide receivers. 9 home games will help their middling quarterbacks, and I have him ranked at the 7th position this year.
Very good. Very good. I'm looking for him. Oh, there he is. He's number 8. So still the most talented receiver alive. And Kyler Murray is a real upgrade, maybe, on what Minnesota ran out there in 2025. Murray's career passing volume is the cap here, though. Jefferson needs a target count this offense may simply just not generate it. So I have him at number 8, which is crazy.
All right. Well, who do you have in that who do you have in that range? Like 2 up and 2 down. Well, I guess 1 up and 3 down from there. Whatever. 6 through 10. Let's just do 6
Yeah,
through 10.
6 through 10. Yeah, I got AJ Brown, Drake London, then Justin Jefferson, then Nico Collins, then George Pickens.
Okay, all right. And that same group there, I've got CeeDee Lamb with Jefferson, Nico Collins, Drake London, Chris Olave cracks the top 10 for me this year. So we had a couple overlap, but a couple guys just mixed up there a little bit. I'm showing the opposite of bounce back for George Pickens this year. I'm going with him a little bit dropping down. He had that big run when CeeDee Lamb was hurt and missing games. I'm just going to assume a little bit more health for CeeDee Lamb means a little less. But man, I looked at his stats. His stats were so good last year. George Pickens had almost 1,500 receiving yards. But I think that hot streak with the absence of CeeDee Lamb was a big chunk of those yards.
Yeah, for sure. I've got him. I've got CeeDee Lamb actually pretty high. I have him at number 5, and I've got George Pickens down at number 10. So I think CD is gonna be like, no, not kid. This is my show. Yeah. All right.
Who's your bounce back for wide receiver?
Man, as much as I don't like to do this, this is two Jets in a row I'm talking about here. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 14 for me, for the New York Jets, was pacing as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver through 6 weeks before the knee ailments cost him 10 games. 3 1,000-yard seasons in 3 healthy years, all of them catching passes from a quarterback carousel that made the country fair look jealous. So Geno Smith is a clear upgrade under center. The bounce back case is as clean as they come, I think. The case here is so clean, it's almost boring. He was good. He got hurt. He's healthy. The quarterback got better. That's it. That's the whole segment.
I have him at 12. So I'm in that same range. And according to that little equation I put up, he was the biggest surprise. He came in at number 3. And when you put all those factors of passing game mixed in with schedule and all that kind of stuff. So he was the one that I'm like, I can't put him at 3, obviously, but I'm going to just kind of keep an eye on that and see if this equation knows a little more than I do. But I am at 12, which is still, a top wide receiver 1.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. Tight end bounced back this year. I'm going with Isaiah Likely. Now he's at the New York Giants, 16th, right in the middle in terms of strength of schedule for win-losses, but the 9th easiest strength of schedule for the tight end position with 8 home games. Last year, he stunk, man. 45th overall, and I couldn't even find him in ranking of points per game because he was so low, but he did average 3.5 points per game. So he's doesn't have to do much to bounce back, but I think he's going to potentially be a top 12 or 14 tight end at worst, being that he was 45th last year. That counts as a bounce back.
Yeah, I agree with that. What did you have, Matt, exactly?
This year, I have him at 10th.
10th. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have him at 9. Everything you said is good. And then Malik is still working back from ACL tear. Wan'Dale Robinson left for Tennessee. He could easily open up this year as the number 1 target on the roster.
All right. Who's your tight end bounce back?
Oh, you're going to like this one, buddy.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
I think it's going to be Kyle Pitts.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. A new 3-year, $54 million deal, top of the position. And he's on record of saying his best football is ahead of him. Same bear case for 4 years running. The talent was never the problem. The quarterback was. Penix is working back from a torn ACL. At tight end 7 is where I have Kyle Pitts. The disappointment is finally priced in a little bit here. Kyle Pitts has been a bounce back candidate so long, he's earned a punch card. One more stamp, and then the breakouts for free.
Well, he finished last year, I think, as number 2 or 3 overall points for tight end. So he's already up there. But in terms of, I guess, how confident you are with him, he might have finished high, but you never really trusted it. It just kind of worked itself out, similar to Dallas Goedert. So in that regard, maybe in terms of sentiment, he's bounced back. But in terms of stats, he's already done that.
Yeah, I guess you got me on that one. I just wanted to say Kyle Pitts.
I will say from our NFC preview a couple episodes back, they have the new coach in Kevin Stefanski, and their offensive coordinator is runs a tight end heavy offense. In terms of I don't mean like in blocking, in terms of target share here. And you've got someone like Tua and even Penix eventually perhaps, who are both kind of middle short pass guys. So I agree with you. I have Pitts at number 5 here. So I think he's going to stay up there, and the sentiment is a true bounce back. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
All right. All right. Next, we're moving along to our ambiguously ranked duos. The ambiguously ranked duo. The ambiguously ranked duo. On draft day, I don't know which one to take. These two players are comparably ranked. They're extremely close in an ambiguous way. They're ambiguously ranked. They're ambiguously ranked. The ambiguously ranked duo. The ambiguously ranked duo. Which of you two is the better receiver? Well, Gary is definitely the best catcher.
Yeah.
What? Nothing! The ambiguously ranked duo. All right, Bernie. All right. I like your little addition there. I was going to start at the top here, but I'm going to start with the one in the middle. It's actually most intriguing to me. I'm going to start with the Chicago Bears wide receivers.
There it is.
Roma Dunze and Luther Burden. I'm not going with the trend, guys. I still got a Dunze ahead, but they are close. I got a Dunze at 28, Luther Burden at 32. This is just Burden took off in the latter part of the year when Odunze was missing time. People forget Odunze was a top 10 receiver in those first 5 weeks before he had foot problems and was kind of playing through it before he had to miss some time. So I think Odunze is going to be the better of the two, but they are close, and I don't have a strong case to make other than just a gut feeling and preference. What's your thoughts here on the Bears receiving core here?
Oh yeah, I'm right with you there. I actually have them ranked higher than you, and I have them ranked 24 and 25. Dunze could plausibly outscore Burden in the same offense while costing 2 or 3 rounds less. So the gap here is the value, I think. Health has been the reoccurring issue, like you said, but Chicago's target tree is kind of crowded at the moment. Ben Johnson has publicly said he's buying stock in the yard after catch profile, which carries a league winning, upside for Luther Burden. Groin injury cost him the preseason, so the hype has already been priced up back down a little bit, but let somebody else pay for Chicago's offensive duo.
I will say in their preseason game they had this weekend, they had the starters. I'm not sure for how long. But I was watching the plays that the starters were in for, and Caleb Williams threw to Dunze every time. He threw once to Loveland where he missed him, threw once to Dunze where he overthrew him, but he targeted Dunze 75% of the throws that I saw him taking in there in that however many drives it was. And I don't know if Burden was on the field or not because they were just the way I was watching, it was just pretty much showing the guys it was going to, unless he
he wasn't on the field.
He wasn't on the field at all. Okay,
the groin injury. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I wasn't sure if he just wasn't near the ball or if he wasn't. They were snapping it quick, so I couldn't see who was lining up on the other side. So that makes sense then. But nonetheless, he was going to Dunze, and Dunze looked fresh and healthy again, and I expect him to return to his somewhere near his early 2025 season form, at least in that range.
Exactly.
All right, who do you have for ambiguously ranked duo?
All right, I have Jaden Reed, Green Bay wide receiver, 35, and Matthew Golden, Green Bay wide receiver at 45. They're not so close. I did have the Chicago one as the segment, but I knew you were gonna to lead with that, so I decided to go somewhere else. Dobbs is in New England. Wicks got traded. Christian Watson is the clear number 1. So these two are fighting over everything Watson leaves behind, in my opinion. And nobody, including Green Bay, can tell you who's going to win it. Reed, he ranked 17th out of 114 receivers in yards per route run since entering the league in 2023. That's a stat for Mike. He has never needed talent. He has needed snaps. He's never cleared a 70% snap share in a season, though. And that's a shift toward more 11 personnel. And that's finally going to be changing. So Golden, on the other hand, second-year receiver in the same cleared out room. The cheapest way to buy this offense, I think, is Golden. Third in line behind 2 players, both who need snaps to pay off, though. So the bench swing is not a starter here. So I think if you want a piece of Green Bay, you got a little bit more value in Golden than you do Watson or Reed.
I totally agree. Again, I watched their preseason game this weekend. So going into this weekend, of those three guys, I consider Jaden Reed the most skilled, Christian Watson the most explosive, and Matthew Golden still trying to figure it out a little bit.
Yep.
All have some range of upside here, but I thought Jaden Reed was going to be the sneaky, really good one in this preseason game. Now, I don't know if he didn't play because he was injured or not, but they're only playing 2 wide receiver sets, and he was not one of those 2. It was Golden and Watson. They were throwing to Watson a ton, and I actually swapped them this morning when I was refreshing this thing. I had Reed, I don't know exactly where I had him, but I moved him down to 59 and put Golden ahead of him. I just lost it. I have Golden at 40. So I did a complete swap between these two based on the opportunity that you were mentioning here. Jaden Reed's always been a low snap count guy in the slot. And a lot of that's due to just being banged up. He was banged up last year. I thought maybe with him being healthy, they would put him back on the field more. But in terms of preseason, I could be faked out here on this preseason run here, but he was not on the field when the starters were playing.
Yeah, I have them 10 slots apart, same tier, one job to split. One of them is a weekly flex by Halloween, and the other one is a cut. So I'm not going to tell you which one because I don't know, and I don't think that Green Bay knows either.
All right, well, my other one here is kind of obvious for the top of the board here. We talked about it a little bit, so I'm just going to mention them real quick. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I have them farther apart than probably most. That's Lamb at 6 and Pickens at 14. But nonetheless, these guys are both top 2 round picks, most likely. Anything else you want to add? We kind of mentioned it before here. If there's anything you want to add to this group.
No, the only thing, like I said before, I think CD is going to do a little bit better just because I think he's CD and he wants to be. He wants to be the star of the show. He knows that he's the Dallas Cowboys.
He's 88. He's number 88, man, on Dallas. He's number 1.
He's Dallas, exactly.
All right, who else do you have for an ambiguously ranked duo?
That's all I have for wide receivers. I do have a tight end when we get to it, though.
I got one more receiver before we get to tight end. I'll let you finish up on that. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars receivers. Last year we had 4 guys between Jacoby Myers, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, and Parker Washington. But Jacoby Myers, I think, even though he got signed, is now going to be the 3rd guy as the older player here. Travis Hunter is playing mostly defense. At least that's the reports. So I'm back up with Brian Thomas Jr. and Parker Washington. Parker Washington has been the darling, but Brian Thomas Jr. is the number 1st round pick from a couple years back. I see a bounce back, relatively speaking, here for Brian Thomas, but I have him ranked at 30 and 31. Thomas at 30, Washington at 31. What's your thought on the Jacksonville wide receiver groups?
I think you should buy in on Jacksonville. I think that they're ranked appropriately. I think that their wide receiver room is going to be a good wide receiver room because I think Trevor Lawrence takes the next step to getting 2 games into the playoffs. And I think he needs to do that by showing off that he is a good passing quarterback. And I think that his wide receivers are going to benefit. So I think you're good either way. I don't have a heavy hand on which one would be better than the other.
If you can find it, how high do you have the Brian Thomas or Parker Washington? The first one you can find.
Let's see here. Parker Washington, I have at 32.
Okay.
And what was the other guy's name?
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas. There's so many of those guys. Brian Thomas Jr. I have at 37, so not too far.
Okay, we have a very similar range here. The good thing and bad thing, they don't have that alpha number 1, at least right now in terms of perception. Exactly. So someone's got to be the number 1, and you're getting him at a number 3 or a 2.5 value price on draft day. Now you might be wrong, but if you're right with whichever one you get, you're going to get a value. One of those guys is going to be a value, maybe both, but I would say it's very unlikely that both will be disasters for you.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll add to that is they drafted 2 tight ends in April, so there might be a lot of 2 tight end sets. So there's going to be passing going on.
All right. Who do you have for your tight end ambiguously ranked duo?
Oh, I have at tight end 24 and at tight end 29.
Why would you rank him that far?
Rondé Gadsden the 2nd and David Njoku for the LA Chargers here. Gadsden went we won't even get into that. Gadsden went 49 for 664 and 3 touchdowns as a rookie, and was the waiver wire ad of last September before vanishing into the back half here. LA answered by signing Njoku and paying Charlie Kohler $24 million. So projections have Gadsden nearly 15% of the target share and Njoku at 10 or 12. And Kohler possibly leading the room in snaps as the blocker, though, not the pass catcher. Njoku is 30. He's off his worst year. He could be a bounce back candidate, in my opinion. But they signed 2 tight ends to fix their tight end issue. It's going to be a group project, I think, here.
I will say when the news came and they were hiring Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator, I put a little mental note whenever that was in the early offseason that Gadsden was going to be my sneaky, awesome tight end. But this preseason and training camp, he has been falling down. He was playing with the third stringers late in the fourth quarter in these last preseason games. So I'm a little nervous about his role this year. We saw some potential last year. I don't disagree, but I'm thinking Njoku, or maybe they have a second guy. I just can't forget. I forget his name at the moment, but it seems like he's going to be the odd man out. There you go. I think Stoller's more the blocking guy. Now Njoku's going to be the passing guy, and I think Gadsden's going to be the odd man out.
Yep, we'll see. We will see.
All right, guys, it is now time to get into our old faces, new places.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Welcome to the team. Who are you? Where am I? Get this man a helmet.
Old faces, new places.
I'll say hello, my darling, if we should meet.
All right, Bernie, we're okay on time, but not great. So I'm going to run off 3 of these in a row, and we can kind of talk about them as a group here. I got Mike Evans for San Francisco, DJ Moore to Buffalo, and Stephon Diggs to Washington. Mike Evans has been dealing with injuries on and off, but he returned to practice again today. We'll see if he exits tomorrow. DJ Moore has been great this offseason, but he got banged up a little bit in that last preseason game. And Stephon Diggs had a better year than you realized last year. So I'm going to start with him. How much do you think he's going to either have a big year himself, or how much he's going to hinder Terry McLaurin from a bounce back year himself?
We're talking about Diggs here?
Yeah, on that particular question, yes.
Yeah. All right. So for Diggs, what do we have here? He finished wide receiver 17 in PPR last season?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and signed with launch certificate for $8 million before. Age and a thin commander passing game are the drag. So reasonable wide receiver 3 with a defined role. I wouldn't reach past this though. So wide receiver 43 for me.
I can't even find him right now, to be honest with you. So I don't know where I have him at. He's got to be somewhere in there. Maybe not. Of those 3, who do you have ranked highest between Evans, Moore, and Diggs?
All right. So Diggs we have at 43. DJ Moore is probably the highest, honestly. Let's see here. Where are you, DJ? DJ Moore's at 26. And Evans, you go by Mike Evans. Mike, oh, come on, Mike.
I got Evans at 15.
At 28.
28?
Yeah.
I still can't find Stephon Diggs. Where the heck do I have? I don't know.
Maybe so Moore and Evans are an Ambuguously Ranked Duo on different teams.
Right.
Which I think Moore is going to be a better player than Mike Evans, honestly.
I think he's got a sneaky chance to bounce back more this year.
Exactly. But Diggs is down there for me, but I wouldn't rule him out. So,
who do you have for some old faces and new places?
Old faces, new places. You want me to talk about AJ Brown, or you want me to talk about Jalen Waddle? What do you want to talk about?
Well, we talked about AJ Brown a little bit here. He's going to be the target hog monster for a high volume passing game. So why don't you give me if you have 2 other guys, give me the Waddle and someone else, and we'll talk about those 2 as a group.
Yeah, well, I had Waddle and Mike Evans, so those were my 3 were Brown, Waddle, and Evans. But
okay,
let's talk about Waddle here. So defined number 1 role, and a change of scenery he badly needed. So never converted elite speed into consistent target volume in Miami. And the Denver passing game is unproven, question mark. So also quietly demotes Cortland Sutton a little bit. So I have, as of now, Jalen Waddle at 23. And I have Cortland Sutton as wide receiver 30. So I have him as a clear secondary status.
I've got Waddle up to 17, or his number there, and Sutton I have down lower than I would have thought. I have him at 35, so a 2-to-1 difference there in ranking from Waddle to Cortland Sutton. Yeah, I agree with you there in that regard. I've got I got 1 more receiver, or 2 more receivers here real quick. One's going to the other team, the other one's vacating. Keenan Allen is back, and he's in Indiana, while Michael Pittman, who surprisingly had some pretty good stats. I went back and he had actually a pretty good year for Indianapolis last year, but now he's on Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on these guys, Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman?
Keenan Allen, no, he still managed just 8.4 half PPR points per game. 34 years old, part-time role. Once Pierce is healthy, it'll be a part-time role. The volume ceiling is muted here. I'm staying away from Keenan Allen. Who was the other guy?
Michael Pittman.
Pittman. Come on, Pittman. Come up before me.
Well, I'll just tell you, I have these guys back to back in my ranks. I got Michael Pittman as 47th and Keenan Allen at 48th. Last year, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but Pittman's stats were pretty darn good. And Keenan Allen was in the top 10, maybe 12 in targets overall. So he was a target monster, but with his old legs, just couldn't go anywhere after the catch.
Yeah, I can't find. Oh, here you go. Michael Pittman, I have at 49.
All right.
Yeah, I think he pulled a hamstring in camp. He'll be fine for week 1, hopefully. Rodgers is a declining arm, though, so that limits this offensive ceiling here, I think. So I'd be skeptical with Pittman as well.
I don't disagree. All right, now you have no more wide receivers, correct?
Correct. Oh, you know what? Let me just say this. You
Sure.
know, Old Faith previously occupied place. Deebo Samuel.
Who? Debo.
There you go. Okay, that's all I got.
All right. I got one tight end here. There's probably a couple others, but again, I'm just so uninterested in these guys. I got Darren Waller going to Carolina. We've already got Sanders there, so I'm not sure what kind of role he's going to have. But we saw last year, even in limited snaps, he's just, when he's in, they throw to him. So he can play 10 snaps. He's going to get 6 targets and maybe a touchdown every time he plays. So just more of a monitor, wait and see. Darren Waller really impressed me with coming off of retirement last year for a burning house and the Dolphins. He was one of the best things on a game-by-game basis when he did play. So he's my old-faced new place to talk about here, but I don't have him ranked very high, if at all.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, we'll go through the tight ends pretty quickly here. We talked about Isaiah Likely, right?
Yes.
Yes, we did. So that he is one old place, new place. I have him at tight end 13. But tight end 16, I have Mr. Chig Okonkwo from Washington to Washington from Tennessee. 3 years, 27 million. Washington lost Deebo Samuel, which is 99 targets, and Zach Ertz is 72 off last year's roster. So career high, 56, 560 with 2 touchdowns on a bad Titans team, and he's never averaged 8 points per game here, but he's 5th among qualified tight ends in yardage after catch since 2022, and he steps into the second target slot behind McLaurin. Stephon Diggs is the complication, though. Jaden Daniels turns 34 years old. Zach Ertz back into a starter. Okonkwo is 26 with real speed. Not a lock, but the recipe's taped to the fridge, and I think Jaden Daniels might be able to cook with it.
All right. Very good. All right, guys. You have any other tight ends you want to talk about from old faces, new places?
Nah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, now it's time to get into our most sentimental segment, I would say. It's time to take a look at our Wingback Mountain.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
I wish I knew how to quit you. Why don't you?
Wingback Mountain.
All right, guys. My Wingback Mountain, I'm going with Nico Collins. I've had him on my team 2 of the last 3 seasons, 2023 and 2025. In 23, he was my last pick and the second last pick in the draft, 51st wide receiver taken, but finished 10th in his first breakout season. Last year, I drafted him as a 7th wide receiver in the first round, finished number 9. So no matter where you take him, high or low, he's going to be in that 9 to 12 range. It seems like Nico Collins is a solid pick, but not always the best value. But Nico Collins is my receiver Wingback Mountain.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Let me see where I have Mr. Nico Collins. I have him up there pretty high, didn't I? I did. Man, I'm scrolling here. I have him as the 9th receiver off the board.
I got him 8, same spot.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins, ACL tear removes him from Houston's wide receiver 2 spot. That funnels targets towards Collins. Tank Dell and Jalen Noel are both working back from injury. So he's missed. He has missed time in all 5 of his NFL seasons, but he's got elite target share. So availability is the thing that we're looking out for here.
I think for him, so just to say in that equation I talked about before, which takes into account how poor your quarterback is, he's ranked number 4th in this equation in terms of receivers. But really for him, it's going to be about C.J. Stroud. He's going to make or break this passing game. The last couple of years, it's really been slow going. But even with that, Nico Collins is one of the most efficient guys because he takes so many long bombs to the house and a great red zone target that he can even get. There were several times last year we have 3 catches and 2 touchdowns because of the style of player he is. If he can get his volume and targets and receptions up, that'll get him in that top 5 range instead of sitting in that 10 area.
Yeah. I agree.
Who do you got? Who do you got?
All right. Mine's is a little different here, buddy. Okay. We're going to call it Wingback Mountain, the reunion. Okay. Jerry Jeudy, currently wide receiver 77 on the Cleveland Browns. Here's my ledger for this record here. 2020, 2021, 2022, I had Jerry Jeudy. Then things got complicated. In 2023 and 2024, I had AJ Brown. And then listen to this. In 2024, I had Jamison Williams and Roman Dunze, right? I had a lion and a bear. And then in 2025, Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Moore. I upgraded my lion and my bear. So the mountain has been vacant since AJ Brown. 3 years of Jeudy, 2 years of Brown, and then nothing but one season flings, no tenure, a series of hills, if you will. But why Jeudy and why now? He's wide receiver 77. He's free. A round 14 pick makes this defensible advice, not just a runner here. Still the most experienced receiver in Cleveland, but the rookies, concession, I can't even say it.
That's good.
And Boston are the reason anyone cares about that room here. The ups and the downs aren't the bug. In Judy's experience, they're the entire product here. For 3 years, I rode this man through Denver quarterback play that would make a grown adult weep. I finally let him go, and now he's sitting at 77 on the Browns, being described in my own rankings as the most experienced guy in the room that you should be watching for other reasons. Mike, I've made a terrible decision, and I'm making it again.
Very good. All right. You don't have any tight ends in this section, do you? Or I forgot if you did or not.
No, because we weren't drafting tight ends.
Right. Fair enough. All right. Before we get out of here, we have to mention some guys that we just haven't really touched on too much here. So we're going to stick in that 11 to 28 range, give or take, just kind of look in that area here.
Yeah.
So players that we haven't mentioned today that are obviously going to be receivers, either late ones in terms of their rankings, 2s and early 3s. And they're in terms of wide receiver 1, 2, or 3, not rounds necessarily. I got Zay Flowers ranked at 11th for me, Rashee Rice at 13, Jamison Williams at 16. What do you have between 10 and 16 or so, Bernie, that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, I got Rashee Rice at 11, Neighbors at 12, Higgins at 13, Garrett Wilson, which I said at 14. And this one might be a surprise for you. I have Chris Olave at 15. I know that's further down than your board.
Yeah, those are very similar guys. Let's see. I also have Jalen Waddle at 17, we mentioned. Devontae Adams, I have him at 18, which I don't know if that's fair or not, but I will say that my equation did not like Devontae Adams. I'm going to look real quick while you tell me who you have in that 18 to 24 range.
Well, no, I'll tell you right now. I have Devontae Adams at 22. I might be on the same page with you. He's still the Rams' clear number 2 in a Stafford offense that threw nearly 600 times. The touchdown first profile is what a half PPR pays for, right? Age 34, season with declining separation, one of the few players whose floor is eroding faster than his ceiling is.
Yeah, I agree. My equation here has him at 34.
Oof.
So he just did not. I was surprised, did not like that situation for that receiver there.
Yeah.
Other players in this area, you said Malik Neighbors. How did you have Neighbors? He's interesting to talk about for a moment.
Yeah, Neighbors I have at 12. I have him pretty high.
I have him at 19. And he, in that equation, he went back and forth from a huge jumper. It was all based on whether he was going to be a target hog or not. Generally speaking, he is, but coming slow off the injury, I don't know if it's going to be a season-long target hog. So when I put him as a number 1 receiver for a team, he jumped up to like number 4. And when I put him down as a number like a split style receiver, he dropped down in that equation to I lost him a little bit, but around here he is 17. So he had the biggest jump based upon if he's going to be healthy or not. If you trust his health, according to this equation that I'm not trusting yet, but I'm also monitoring, has him very high. If you have him even just as a split guy here, he's going to be in that area between you have him at 12, between 12 and 19, I would say. Anyone else you have in that 20 to 28 range? Anyone that we haven't talked about?
Dropping down. Okay, just before we wrap that last one up here, 11 through 20 for me is my tier 3 section.
Okay.
And that's my high ceiling wide receiver too. So that's who we were just talking about. But once I drop down into tier 4, these are my volatile starters, possibly flex plus here, 21 through 30.
Sure.
I got names. I'll read them off starting at 21.
Anyone we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, Ibuka, Waddle. I guess we talked about them. Jameson Williams is on that list. Marvin Harrison Jr. is on that list. Cortland Sutton there. So just a couple of guys. Everybody else we've talked about: Adunze Burden, DJ Moore, Devontae Adams. They're all in this list for me as well.
The only guys, the last you said, Cortland Sutton, and I forget the other one. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. I have Marvin down Harrison a little bit further. The guys I have taken the place for them in that area would be people like Michael Wilson. I actually have higher than Marvin Harrison Jr. Christian Watson at 27. I've got Ladd McConkey at 24 and Tedero McMillan at 23.
Yes, I have those guys a little bit higher. I've got McConkey up there at 19 and Tedero McMillan at 16. So I have them bumped up just a little bit from where you are.
So this is going to be interesting if we draft near each other or on the ends of some turns, because we might
all get our players.
We might be able to get 2 of our guys or none.
There it is.
All right, guys. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us here. We got more to come in our preseason shows here. We have our next show is going to be our draft day strategies, including prep and tips and tricks and stuff like that. We're also going to have our big mock draft coming out to you to start next week. And of course, our last minute risers and followers waiting on the news here for Ashton Genty will be a big difference on that for someone like Mike Washington. All right, guys, with that being said, I want to thank you all so very much for watching and or listening to another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platforms. And you can also find our video show on YouTube at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube or youtube.com/@wingmanfantasyfootball. If you head over there, guys, do me that favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment and we'll get you in our mailbag segment. I have a feeling our draft day strategies will have plenty of room for our mailbag next show. So let's get that loaded up. With that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And let us not forget, every season has its bad calls. Romain calm.
Till next time, my friends.